Welcome to Lean Six Sigma Green Belt Training, Define phase. Today we are going to talk about stakeholders. So who are the stakeholders? Stakeholders are everybody who has interest in your project or has impact on your project. That's why it's very important to have awareness what is their attitude and what is their power to impact our project. So please go to go4sixsigma.com and look at the project template. You will find the stakeholder analysis tab, and please list all the stakeholders that has impact on your project. People that can support you, but maybe they can say that this project shouldn't be done and can stop your project at some point of time. So make sure that you have awareness about people who are involved in your project directly and indirectly. What does it mean? Try to start with people who has the biggest impact on your project. So think about those people. Without their approval, their acceptance, the project will be not completed. And please list the people on the list. The second is to look at the people from the attitude point of view. So, okay, they are positive, neutral, negative. So think about what is their attitude to your project. Why it should be done. It's very important to understand people's expectations about the project because you can do some actions. So you can implement the action plan based on the people impact and attitude. So for example, you have a stakeholder that has very strong impact, very high impact on your project, and in the same time the person is very negative about your project. So what should be done? In terms of the project management rules or approach, you should involve the person. So you should very closely involve the person in the project, and you should check if the person is aware about the project, has all information about your project, or has all details. You should ask the person what type of information the person expects from you, what kind of update is needed. For example, maybe the person requires monthly meetings with you to understand what is the progress of your project, and try to think from the person's perspective, why the person is so negative, and think about the rule, what is there for me. So what is inside in your project for the person. So try to find maybe some changes that can be interesting for the person. So informing, involving, and understanding what is there for me from the person's perspective is very important. The other example is, for example, if the person is positive about your project, the attitude is very positive, and in the same time the person has very high impact on the project. So you have very comfortable situation now with the stakeholder, but in the same time you should monitor the person. So you should check if the attitude is still the same, if the person is still positive about your project, because it may change due to many reasons, many factors that are out of your control very often. So make sure that the person is still updated about the project progress, and you have a comfort that the person confirms is still very positive about your project results. When you think about people who are neutral about your project, it's the same, just to make sure you involve them and keep them updated. the most important is to define the people who has the biggest impact on your project, on success of your project, and in the same time define the people who are negative, because they can be very important later and they can stop your project. So it's very important to understand and be aware about the situation in the define phase, so at the very beginning of the project. Okay, if you have any problems with defining your stakeholders, look at the SIPOC. Suppliers can be your stakeholders as well. Customer is the stakeholder as well. Think about people from your team. Think about the people from doing the process. They are stakeholders as well. So if somebody who is doing the process is very negative about your project, it's good to implement some actions in advance. So when it comes to the change implementation, the person will be more on neutral level than negative one. So think about this tool as the tool to be more aware about people's expectation and their emotion, their attitude to your project. And the tool is not very complicated, but it's very powerful when it comes to success of your project. It comes to the change management. Okay, so just to summarize the define phase. So we already did project charter, SIPOC, process map, and now stakeholders analysis. So we are done with the define phase. So the first phase is done. The next step is measure. So see you in measure phase. Thank you.